So the big question is this: how do small businesses like yours, who feel like you're doing all the right things and going to all the right events, reach the federal buyer in a way that helps you win more contracts? That is the question, and this is the place to get your answers. My name is Neil McDonnell. Welcome to the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. Okay, let's get started. I'm sure you know that you need to have meetings with federal buyers if you want a shot at winning a contract. But what do you ask? In the next few minutes, I'll talk about 4 types of questions you can ask federal buyers to help position you better for winning a contract. First, though, this content is brought to you by the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, the only organization dedicated to the success of all small businesses in the federal space, with members from Guam to the U.S. Virgin Islands and every single state in between. Each year, roughly $125 billion is awarded to small businesses as prime contractors. Our vision is to double that number by helping small businesses truly understand the process for success. Small businesses are the backbone of America. By helping you succeed further in government contracting, we'll be strengthening the American communities. My name is Neil McDonnell, and I've been where you are now. I've been a small business owner for 20 years, building 2 successful firms selling to the federal government. I've won subcontracts with small and large prime contractors. I've won prime contracts with defense and civilian agencies. I've done things right, and I've gotten things wrong. The one thing missing, though, for me then and you now, is an easy to follow process that'll lead to predictable success. That's my commitment to you. I'll provide the process. If you accept responsibility and don't blame others, you'll find you have the control to change your future. Neil Rackman wrote a book called Spin Selling that's guided my call preparation for every sales call I've had in the federal government. SPIN is an acronym that stands for Situation Questions, Problem Questions, Implication Questions, and Need Payoff Questions. By following this method, you'll find you'll have many more successful meetings with federal buyers. To win contracts with the federal government, you must do your homework. You do this first by researching on the internet, then through meetings with people at your primary agency. Asking situational questions will help you gather information that you need to learn about an agency in general or a specific opportunity. Situation questions are factual in nature. For example, how many users do you have? What size is the building you need painted? Who's the incumbent? It's okay to ask these questions, but make sure you try to find the answers first through your own research. By using situation questions, you'll hear certain answers that will help you support a customer, but you'll also gain insight into the needs they have. For example, if I ask when the last time a building was painted, I might hear 2 years ago. That's a fact. Or I might hear 2 years ago, but the paint's already peeling off the walls. This tells me when it was last painted. It implies a dissatisfaction with the product or the vendor, and it implies the need to have it stripped and repainted. When qualifying opportunities, we tend to need more factual information. Is this in our market? Are there things that will prevent us from competing or from doing a good job? Where will the work be performed? This information can help us qualify and quantify an opportunity and position us to start doing more detailed capture by using the next set of question types. Problem questions are the most helpful you can ask since they uncover customer dissatisfaction, which hopefully can be resolved by your products or services. Your goal is to get the customer to reveal implied needs that can then be turned into explicit needs. This means they fully agree that there is a need for change. To get to those needs, you must ask questions about the problems they're having. The customer needs to realize the scope of their problem, which will lead them to wonder, how can they solve that problem? No one wants to have questions fired at them in a direct manner, like they're being investigated by a detective. Actually, if you want to get good at asking questions, one detective could help you. Go watch this old TV show called Columbo, and his direct way of asking questions is perfect. It's this way of being curious, but not prosecutorial. Man, that was a tough word for me to say, but there it is. When you ask questions, though, or when you ask problem questions and have a discussion with the customer, clarifying those problems, you'll be able to write a much stronger response to an RFI or an RFP. Without this information, you'd only be able to talk generically about what you offer and what your experience is at other agencies. But if you know their problems, you'll be able to tie in your products and services more specifically to the pains they feel. This is how you beat out your competitors. Implication questions are a follow on to the problem questions. They tie directly into those. You want to get the customer to admit problems with problem questions. Then you want them to admit the consequences or impact of those problems on their office and the agency as a whole. If the customer doesn't feel the pain, you're not going to gain a contract. I know that's a bad play on an old saying, but it rings true. Your customers must feel the pain of their problems, and that happens when you begin to ask implication questions. You use implication questions to link the problems a particular office you're talking to other offices or even the public as it relates to federal agencies and what the public might experience based on your customers' problems. For example, if the servers are crashing because they're too old, that inconveniences the IT department as they have to reboot servers and do heroics to keep the servers up. But what about the finance office who processes payroll? If the servers crash all the time, wouldn't they be negatively impacted? That's the linking. When you ask implication questions, you're helping your customer see the broader consequences and even the impact of problems. You're helping decision makers turn known implied problems, I think we have a problem, into explicit problems. We definitely have this problem and it needs to be solved. For anyone who's chased an opportunity that is then canceled, you probably can look back and see that the need never really became explicit, which allowed it to be ignored by the customer. If it was explicit, it wouldn't have been canceled. Need payoff questions are about the value, importance, or usefulness of a solution to an agency's problem. You want the buyer to begin talking about how great your solution or ideas are and focus less on the problems. We've already talked about those. This helps them realize the benefit not only to themselves, but to other stakeholders throughout the agency. In federal sales, you can use need payoff questions to begin to impact the acquisition approach from the point of view of your strengths. An example is if you have ISO or CMMI certification, you can help the customer understand the benefits of requiring vendors to have similar certifications. Risk avoidance, for example. Obviously, there's value to the customer, but then there's the nice bonus of reducing the number of competitors you worry about if you can get the customer to lock in that cert that you have, as an example. Another way need payoff questions can help is identifying win themes. If you can discuss how your proposed product or solution would further benefit the buyer and the agency, you'll have information your customers or your competitors don't have. You'll be able to use what you learn from these questions throughout the proposal, which will give the reviewers the right impression that you understand them and what they would value. I learned about spin selling from Neil Rackman back in the 1990s when I got into federal contracting. You can find his book to do a deep dive, and I definitely say get that on your bookshelf. This was meant to be a quick introduction to the questioning methodology I've followed the entire time I've been in the federal contracting space. I'm going to expand on this content if you're interested in a full course on how to add spin selling into your day-to-day meetings with federal buyers. And I'll make it available freely to the GovCon Chambers membership in the library section there. So just check that out when you get a chance. When I say government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. Properly preparing for meetings and asking the right questions is part of that process. Give it a try on your next meeting. If you found this content valuable, others will too. Please give it a thumbs up so they can find it. If you'd like to connect with me personally, do so on LinkedIn. Make sure to sign up for the GovCon Chambers email list at www.govconchamber.com. We often do free training webinars, as I just mentioned, and interview federal buyers for you. The email list is how we let you know about these opportunities. Finally, please consider becoming a sustaining member of the GovCon Chamber. I'm Neil McDonnell, wishing you great success.